Welcome to the Focal Insights Podcast Founder Hour edition, hosted by co-founder Joe Pollock. Joe has been in the e-commerce industry for over 25 years. He grew and bootstrapped his own startup to a successful exit. Founder Hour episodes go behind the scenes to learn how some of the best e-commerce brands were founded, grown, and operated straight from the founders themselves. Founder Hour is brought to you by Focal Software, a new generation ERP and operation suite for e-commerce brands and third-party marketplace sellers. Focal was built with SMB brands and marketplace sellers in mind to help them grow profitably. Now let's welcome our host, Joe Pollock.
Hello and welcome to the Focal eCommerce Insights Podcast, where we chat with e-commerce entrepreneurs about business, selling online, and how to overcome challenges for success. Joining us today is Dr. Lisa Piper and Wendy Cohn-Osborne, co-founders of Code Health. Dr. Piper is a board-certified doctor of natural medicine. She has a bachelor's degree in business management and a master's degree in health psychology. She also holds certificates in life coaching, hypnosis, quantum health coaching, multiple energy medicine practices, and Kundalini yoga instruction. She currently resides in Tampa Bay, Florida. Wendy is a seasoned entrepreneur with over 30 years experience in legal, marketing, medical funding, and healthcare solutions. She began her career in workers' compensation and disability law before transitioning to the medical field in 2006. Wendy is focused on collaborating with medical providers to deliver alternatives to prescription medications and advancing holistic and patient-centric healthcare solutions. Wendy also lives in the Tampa Bay area, and together they also host the Code 3 podcast. Dr. Piper and Wendy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yes, Thank you so much, Joe.
Yeah, well, this is a great conversation to have because there's a lot of news about things like Make America Healthy Again. We've got post-COVID vaccines that are still in the conversation and the medical industry in general. So I'm very excited to hear more about your business and alternative medicines. But before we get into that, we always start at the beginning, which is a general discussion about business and entrepreneurism and how you got started and what that was like, that transition. It's usually a pretty big jump from maybe some corporate world to you're on your own. So go ahead and give me the backstory of Code.
You know, it's really a pain to purpose story. I was actually studying for my PhD at the time during the pandemic when I got very, very sick with COVID. And my father happened to be the neighbor of this brilliant biologist named Dr. John McMichael. And my father said to me, Lisa, if you get sick, call me. I've got these drops in my safe and I'll overnight them to you. And so I called him. He overnighted me the drops. My fever was about 104 at the time. I was sick. I was very, very sick. And I was getting scared because I wasn't getting better. I was getting worse. And after the first day of the protocol of this particular antiviral formula, my fever was gone. And by the end of the second day, I was beginning to get taste and smell back, and I was making a turn. And so we'll fast forward about a year, and I went up to visit my dad, and I said, Dad, bring me by to see Dr. McMichael. I want him to put a face with my name. And you know, I was finishing a PhD in natural medicine, and I had created this, other modality that I planned to bring to the world. That was going to be my journey. And for whatever reason, I got in front of Dr. McMichael and I said, why doesn't everybody have this? And how can I help you bring it to the world? And then I was like, oh, wow, how am I going to do this? So he connected me with his business associates, and I had the initial call with them. And the whole time I was on the call, I was talking about Wendy because of her past business experience and really knowing that she's a powerhouse of a woman and she's the kind of person I would want on my team. And then I just prayed that she, could see my vision. And fortunately, she did. So I brought her into the next call, and the rest is history. Here we are.
All right. So in that case, it was almost a happy coincidence or serendipity brought you together with this doctor and his solutions, and you experienced it firsthand.
Yeah,
with the
this was the
amazing story.
this was the best thing that could have ever come out of the pandemic. Really.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Wendy, why don't you give us your side of that story?
Well, I was friends with Lisa for a couple of years, and I just watched her become so ill so fast. And when these miracle drops, is what we called them, were sent down, it was incredible how within such a short period of time she turned around. And even I knew that these were really, really special. A year later, almost a year later, I'm forgetting the exact time frame, but my husband and I also got COVID, and Lisa had some extra drops left over, and I experienced taking the drops myself, and there was only enough for just one of us. Lisa had just enough to save. Her grandparents are in their 90s, and she just did not want to give them all away, which was totally understandable. And I took the drops, my husband didn't, and I was better within 5 days. I was totally done with what I was going through, and he remained sick for a couple of weeks. And when you experience something like that, you know that there's something that you have to do with it. So when we realized that not only did Dr. McMichael have this one particular molecular formulation, but he actually had 200 patents that he had been working on since the 1980s. This was really something special. And here we are today with our company. And it's been about 2.5 years. And the journey really has just begun because now we've implemented our product line. We have everything online to sell, and we're going to many different speaking engagements and bringing code to the world. And we like to say we bring it one drop at a time.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. And it sounds like when you talk about these happy coincidences, that doctor sounds like maybe he was almost waiting for you guys to come along and help take his product out there.
You know,
So
one of the things I've said from the beginning, it's like the divine is conspiring to help us. The synchronicities that are happening to us since the beginning of time, that since we formed this company, have just been magical. I mean, hardly believable. And we feel blessed, as I'm sure he does as well. He's proud of us. He loves watching us help people with his life work. And it's rewarding for us also because we get a lot of testimonials from people that have major things and our products help.
yeah. Okay, so up to that point, though, you came across something that really fit with what you do. Everything looked perfect. But as you jump into starting a business, you're always going to find some challenges, some that you're expecting, some that you're not. Is there anything that sticks out as a big challenge that you were able to overcome, and how did you overcome it?
You
Well,
know,
I think, go ahead, Lisa. You can.
I was just going to say one of the things that we were very firm with was our vision. We had a very clear vision. We knew we wanted our product to be a household brand. We had to come up with a lot of the design features, and we did that. We color coded our products with intention. Everything that we did, we were very, very intentional with. And that helped because we had that vision, and we built a website, and we did it, just the two of us. We did everything until we got to a place where we couldn't do it anymore. And of course, this is where the challenges came in. And I'll let Wendy take it over from here.
Well, I think as an entrepreneur, you have ideas, and these ideas really can come to fruition in so many ways. There are people that just fly by the seat of their pants and just go with it. And there are others that really, do a lot of research and take the time to make things happen. And I think Lisa and I are somewhere in between because we're very fast thinkers and we're fast movers. Not a lot of people are, but you have to take advantage of seizing the moment. We both believe in that. And we communicate very well. We're very thorough in the way that we laid things out. And the word that we always use is intentional. And I think that's the key to success. If you start out with an idea, everybody has different ideas, but to really make something successful, you have to have a true plan of action. And that plan of action has to really be thought out because having an idea and then bringing it to market takes not only a lot of time, but it takes a lot of money. And you don't want to waste your precious money on something that really is not going to be successful. So I think that is a main key to being a true successful entrepreneur. It is a very, very difficult job, but it is probably the most satisfying and gratifying that there can be because it's your own idea that you watch grow. It's like having a child, having a baby, and code is our baby, and we're really proud of it.
And then speaking of challenges, we build our website out and then we built it out on Shopify and then they kicked us off the platform. Really, they didn't give us a reason. They don't have to. That's part of their thing. Apparently, we didn't meet their guidelines. And so our first big hurdle was, okay, we've got to switch our platform real quick. And initially, I built the website, but I'm not a web designer. So it was like, okay, we have to hire a team. So we had to find a team. And again, the divine conspiring to help us. The first team we found ended up being the dream team that we absolutely love them. They're brothers and they have been a godsend. So we got really lucky. They were able to transfer our Shopify website over to WooCommerce. And of course, that comes with challenges as well. We have an affiliate partnership program. We have a wholesale partnership program. All these different aspects of how we wanted to run our business had to be incorporated into this new website. And it was really not our specialty. So we had to really put our trust in a team that could do it for us. And then I can keep going because after we got onto WooCommerce, we ended up having to change our merchant processing system. And so we went to Square. And I mean, this was only a few weeks into our new website platform on WooCommerce. And Square sends us an email giving us 21 days to get rid of them. And I'm like, how are we going to even accept money? It was like, it was ridiculous. And I couldn't understand it because our
Which
product
is
is
the thing you need most at that
Of
stage
course,
of the game.
of
Right?
course.
exactly
The money.
right. So we used a lot of language around that time because it was really not comfortable not knowing how we were going to, solve these problems. But again, we solved the problems. We just put one foot in front of the other and kept going, and it worked out.
Yeah, well, these are good starting business lessons, entrepreneur lessons. Wendy, you touched on something there that you hear a lot, that everyone has a lot of ideas, but it's the execution part that is the most critical. And you also said quickly, you do have to move quickly because you kind of have a window where you're just in the air when you start. And Dr. Lisa, like you said, if you don't have the revenue and maybe if you don't have funding, I don't know if you're bootstrap or what the scenario is, but you've got to move quickly to get that revenue because you're just in the middle of being in business and being out of business at that early stage. But the technology stuff, the Shopify, the WooCommerce, those are great examples too of things that not only you didn't expect to happen, but you had no reason to believe that would happen. There's no reason for that to happen, but then you just have to deal with it and put energy toward it and then some other thing isn't getting that energy that it needs because it takes all your focus.
That's right. And that's really what happens when there becomes some type of hurdle that you have to deal with. Everything else that you set forth to do on a schedule plan really has to be, put on hold because other things become more important. And you have to really know how to manage your time properly. And it was just Lisa and me. And we knew enough. I always say, I know enough to get myself in trouble. It's kind of like I always joke and I say, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. And the thing is, these are all part of the entrepreneurial journey. And no, it's almost, no one gives you a handbook, but it's examples like this and shows like yours that your audience can come and listen to different individuals who have had their trials and tribulations and learn from it and create their own handbook of possible things and expectations that could go wrong. So another thing was we never expected to have an issue of putting our products on a platform like Shopify. Shopify has products that are ingestibles, supplements. We see it all the time. Our product line is one simple ingredient, salt water, saline solution with energized patterns that are infused. I had a previous company that was a CBD company, and there were many hurdles that we had to overcome, especially when we were coming out to the market. So I was prepared for everything. The last thing I expected was to just get a letter with no explanation to be kicked off, and then to do the same thing with merchant processing. So all these things, though, when they happen, it actually is a blessing in disguise. And that's what also you have to always remember, that there's always a silver lining for when something goes wrong. And if you learn from those previous lessons, then you just become better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one
Great
thing
point.
Wendy says all the time, and I fully agree. It's like, okay, this didn't work out because it's not supposed to, because something better is supposed to happen. Now we just have to figure out what that is. And the minute we're able to shift gears out of this conflict or situation of something that we didn't like or we didn't expect or whatever the situation was that was a conflict, we're able to change the angle that we look at it to look at, okay, well, how could this be better? And then that's what happens. And it just happens automatically. And it's incredible. So I
Yeah.
think it's because that's our mindset. Mindset is a huge factor in running a business and the ability to switch gears to solve problems. And that's what we do, and we do it well.
It reminds me
Joe,
of the phrase, real quick, Wendy, the
yeah,
phrase, you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
and that kind of also says, so deal with it.
You're right. I think another thing is manifestation. If you manifest something, it's going to happen when you believe in yourself and when you see the vision of something happening, it happens. And we live by that. We are firm believers in that. We believe in ourselves. We believe in our vision. And I think it's the foundation of what makes us so successful. The other importance is also finding the right partner. That is key to it all. Sometimes, a lot of people do things on their own, but the second that you join forces with someone, it becomes a marriage. And that relationship, you have to hold to the highest of standards. You have to respect that person. You may think differently, you may see things differently, but if you are compatible, just like a good marriage, then that business and partnership will succeed and become the best versions of each. You become the best version of yourself with the right partner.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit because earlier you mentioned you want to be a household brand, which is pretty big undertaking if you compare it to, household brands. But you're going to need help. The two of you can't do something that ambitious alone. But you also have a team, but you really have I feel like a core team or your leadership team, and then you have your supporting team. What does that look like to you, and how is that growing, and how do you anticipate that growing so that you can get to that household brand goal?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that question today because with our business, we are actually in what I would call phase 3 of our business. So, phase 1 is the conception of the business. Phase 2 is creating the business and the right core leadership of that business. That happens to just be Dr. Lisa and me. And then 3 becomes, well, who are you going to surround yourself with that knows more than you do to elevate what you are already doing? Because you can't be the best at everything. And that also is a very key lesson that people have to understand. You could be very talented in certain things, but there's always going to be someone that can do something even better than you. And if you're able to let go of the reins and let those people place for your business, you will become elevated. So, just as Lisa said, we had to bring in this team. Shout out to Rud Tech, Bo and Josh. They have been our saviors in so many ways because they were so much more knowledgeable about building this website and transferring what we already worked on. So we have that in place. But now, and even, we have limited time. In our business, we also not only created the brand code, but we also created the Code Girls, and that's who we are. So as the Code Girls, we are talking about code to the general public, to holistic practitioners, to corporate wellness. And you need other people to do the jobs that you don't have time to do. So even finding a really good accountant and a very good bookkeeper is important. We don't want to spend our time, calculating and analyzing our monthly, bills that come in. So we have somebody that does that as well. So it's important to basically find those key people. But as you grow and you realize your limitations, it's at that point where you then look to bring in a true C-suite level of people that can take what you've done, if you've done it well enough, to the next stage. And that's what we're about to do. We're about to go into a partnership with venture capitalists, and they're bringing in C-suite members that have way more experience than both Lisa and I do. And then we can do what we do best, and then they can take the business to the next level, doing what they do best.
And it's mutually beneficial for all. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much one of the standards we live by. We love the concept of circular wealth and everything mutually benefiting everyone.
Yeah, and you really can't grow a business to the level that you're shooting for without bringing in help. And a big challenge there is being able to trust people, and hiring becomes very critical. So that's another topic that I would ask too is, have you had any miscues with hiring and team members, or it sounds like you've been pretty lucky, but sometimes you don't always get it right. You're busy. Maybe you're in a hurry to get a spot filled. Talk a little bit about that if you have any experience with it.
Yeah, when we started our podcast, we've just made some changes. It wasn't that we never had a bad experience with anybody that we hired. I mean, we grew in a different way. We started our podcast with one team of people that helped us and taught us a lot. And when it was time, we evolved into a new podcast company that we felt was more aligned with our needs at the time. And the same thing with graphic designing. I started it, and then we had another girl come in, and we outgrew her, and we've kind of morphed and evolved. And even social media, Wendy and I did everything from the beginning. It was the two of us. We have a good eye for things. We're fortunate like that. We like what we like. We have good taste. And we had a good vision. So we were very fortunate in that regard, but we had our limitations and we needed help, but we needed somebody that could share in our personal style. And that was going to be a challenge. And it magically happened when we hired the Red Tech team. They hired a young girl named Nicole, and she has seen our vision. She has been able to take what we've done and make it better. She's taken over a lot of our email marketing because that was getting beyond what we had time in our day to even do. And it's just been a powerhouse of a team. So we started one place and then we evolved very naturally. And then this is where we're at. Now moving forward, we're keeping them, first of all. And we'll evolve from there with new members added to our team and grow in the areas where we need to grow.
I want to add something. I think just like any relationship, if there are signs, if there are red flags that something is not feeling right, it's not. And instead of trying to force something and make it work or make someone change for what you want them to be or for how you want them to fit into your vision, it's never going to work because that person has their own vision and it may be wonderful. But if it doesn't fit into what your vision is, or it just doesn't feel right, usually your gut is correct. And again, it's working fast and making that decision, and don't second guess yourself. And never burn bridges. That's another thing that Lisa and I are always talk about. We try and stay as loyal as we possibly can to everyone. And if something does not work out, it doesn't mean that you have to end with bad feelings. It just didn't work out. So we never end with any kind of negativity or somebody walking away having the ability to say anything bad about us. I mean, maybe they do, but we don't give them any reason to, because you never know in the future when you can use that person's help again. Or if someone is, you're looking to hire on with someone else, they may very well go back to the person that you worked with, and you want that person to be able to shed light on the positive things and not just anything negative. So burning bridges is really something that we really try very hard not to do.
Don't burn bridges, look for red flags, and when you hire good people, keep them.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay, well, since we're at Focal, we're an e-commerce company, and that's what our podcast is about. Let's switch a little bit to e-commerce, because I know you've got medicines that are non-traditional, so they're not going to go out in a distribution sense, traditional channels. And I know e-commerce is important to you. You've got your WooCommerce website, where I'm assuming you do a lot of your business there. But tell us how e-commerce has helped you get your product out there, if not worldwide, certainly nationwide, right?
Well, understanding the reach that e-commerce has, it's in the trillions, I believe, and it's growing exponentially. It's very important that as a business and to have a product that you are part of this ecosystem of e-commerce. And in today's world with social media and Instagram or Facebook or ads, you have the ability to draw your audience to your website to sell your products in a multitude of ways. So we really focus on e-commerce as a large part of our revenue. But also, as an aside, you can't put all of your eggs in one basket because there are things that happen and there are also other ways of selling product. So we have a wholesale partnership program. We have an affiliate partnership program, which lends itself back to e-commerce, which we'll talk about in a minute. But we also have distribution as well. Even though it's non-traditional, we are ready to go into distribution, not only nationally, but internationally. So it is going to be a big part of our business. And again, in the next phase of our growth. But going back to e-commerce, it's also, we found that the affiliate partnerships are very important. And in today's world, when you have someone like an influencer that with one post or reel, they can put it out there to their hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of followers, that 30-second post can do more than spending months on an advertising promotion. And so that is a very important element of what we do as well. Lisa can talk more about the affiliate partnership and how it's integrated into our e-commerce because she works on that.
Well, I think the other thing that's important before I talk about the affiliate partnership is really what we did. There's two different kinds of websites. You can have a product-based website or you can have a people-based website. And in the beginning, nobody knew what our product is and nobody knew us. So we realized that our product was going to require a bit of an education because it's not traditional. And now we're in this age of transparency and, all the lies that have been told through some of these bigger pharmaceutical companies. And now people are demanding, where did this come from? How is it made? What does it do to the body? Show me the proof. And so we had to do that as well. So in doing that, we aligned ourselves with different people. We aligned ourselves with Kevin Harrington, who was one of the original sharks on Shark Tank. We aligned ourselves with some content creators that are social media influencers in Miami, and we went to some large events there where we met a lot of different people. We constantly showed up and built relationships. Another thing that we did, aside from starting our podcast, was we will be in a documentary called She Healed, like Shield. And it's about women's health optimization. And we partnered with the Lolly Brand Entertainment and their media company, and we've been in their magazine. We've been in multiple magazines now. It's like we just keep putting ourselves out there because if we show up for people, they're going to like us because we're fun. We're the code girls. We show up and we dance and we wear our matching yin and yang outfits. And, we love what we do. We love it. We're passionate about it. And as soon as we start talking and sharing what we do with people, they like it. They want to do business with us because they like us. And it helps that our product works. So, but it's really that kind of a thing. So up until now, we've had more of a social looking website, and I'm not sure where it's going to evolve into in the future. We've been having talks about, now that people know who we are and what we have, maybe changing directions and going towards more of a product-based website. Either way, we still have to put our research up, which we have, and our certificates of analysis, and we have a brands we love page that we like. But back to the affiliate partnership program, we use an app integration for that, and it manages and tracks everything. So the only thing that we really have to do is approve that affiliate application and assign them their referral code that they can use to give their customers a discount. And it's really that simple.
Is
And we
there a
have,
special tool for that, or is that just built into the WooCommerce platform?
it's actually an app. We use GoAF Pro. That's an app integration that integrates with whatever platform you're on. So we actually kept it when we left Shopify. It worked. We found it through Shopify, and we took it with us when we went to WordPress.
Okay. Okay, now going back a little bit to the influencers, because this one sounds pretty powerful for your products, because I know if you talk about COVID and we're past that, but now I'm hearing measles, so we may have another round of this type of environment. But there are a lot of people looking for alternate solutions, and they're following people, and they're very, very loyal, aren't they? So Wendy, when you said one reel could generate a ton of business, I'll bet it really does, because if somebody endorses this, especially if they've used it, people need and want and are looking for these things. Talk a little bit about that.
It truly does. We actually had an example just happen a couple of days ago. So we were invited to go on to a podcast, Nick V Uncensored, and he really spoke mostly about, what is happening in the political world and with RFK Jr. and Maha and politics, and then brought in code into the conversation because we do have this alternative to over-the-counter and prescription medication. We finished the recording. He uploaded the recording within an hour, sent us the link, and within 1 hour, our customer service lines were going crazy. People were calling up that they had just heard our podcast with Nick V, and they had questions. And next thing you knew, it was a day.
She's on the phone, and I'm fulfilling order after order.
It was a record day. It was a record day.
Yeah.
And the point is that this is another way to bring your product out to the world. And podcasts are an unbelievable way to do that as well. We were on a podcast, the Sean Kelly Digital Social Hour podcast a couple of months ago. And the same thing happened because the people that listen to these podcasts are very loyal. So the second that even Joe Rogan is a perfect example, he used the word biohacking on a podcast, and anything that had to do with the word biohacking went off the charts right after that. People then wanted to know, what is this biohacking? And you can talk about something over and over and over. You can have the exact message, but if people don't know who you are, then sometimes they'll just pass over you. But that's also the scary part of influencers having such influence as well, because they could be promoting something that really might not be the best product. And so people really have to watch out for who they're listening to and what they're talking about. And going back to code, that's why Lisa and I feel so good about what we have, because not only do we have a product that with one drop under the tongue, there's what we call immediate gratification, but we also have the research to back it up. So it's we feel very comfortable with then providing our product to people to talk about, because then we're not looked at as snake oil.
Yeah, and it is amazing that e-commerce really does encompass all of that, influencers and the social media. It's not just a transaction happening. It's this whole new non-legacy media ecosystem that's facilitating commerce, which you mentioned earlier. It's a multi-trillion-dollar market. I think approaching $8 trillion in every in sales per year. Right now, over 20% of every transaction worldwide is online.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. So speaking of the future, then what do you see, or let's talk real quick about any other tools that you've used from an e-commerce standpoint or to help run your business from a technology standpoint. And then we'll get into your thoughts on the future.
I think the greatest technology that we have at our fingertips right now is AI. And if you compare even just a year ago or even 5 years ago, even more so, to what people needed to do to create content, you really needed a true creative marketing team to do that. They needed to use their own words and they needed to have knowledge and research that was involved with that. And going back even to business school, when we were in business school, it was, taking these core groups and doing test markets on these core potential buyers. It's no longer that way. The same way that Lisa and I spoke about, you need to be quick on your feet and move quickly. That's the lightning speed that things are happening in today's world. And so AI is very important because you can literally put in an idea and now you have this trusty assistant that can spit out something that could possibly be more articulate than anything that you would ever think of. So I think AI is the key to a lot of it.
Yeah, agreed. And it is amazing. AI has been around for probably over 20 years, and now all of a sudden it just hits us. Okay, besides AI, what do you think is coming in the future for e-commerce, or what advice do you have for anyone listening that's looking to get into e-commerce?
I think the other very interesting facet of where everything is going is from a Web 2 platform to a Web 3 platform and the blockchain. And people are starting to learn the importance of cryptocurrency and just the transparency that is involved in having decentralized types of platforms. So it's going beyond the cryptocurrency into these platforms where people are still going to be able to buy products, but buy them on a Web3. So I think it's something that people need to really understand. There is going to be a major shift with the Web2 to Web3 technology.
Yeah, that's true. And that really dovetails with your medicines too, because you're saying kind of take control of your health, take control of your own decisions for your health. And cryptocurrencies also say get control of your money, because
That's right.
really, if you don't have control of your money, you don't have the freedom to make decisions about anything else. So yeah, that's definitely coming fast in the future as well.
And it also aligns with not putting all your eggs in one basket. You have to diversify. You have to have different angles of generating revenue. And it should be mutually beneficial for all. And this Web3 platform it's a really nice vision for the future where it's a reward-based system instead of waiting until it's too late. So you're actually rewarded for good behavior, such as you get up and you meditate in the morning, or you do deep breathing exercises, you do some self-care, you get rewarded in that. And just you doing the right thing gives you this digital currency that you can then use in the store to purchase products that have that transparency. And so it's really a beautiful vision for how we can make America healthy again and make ourselves accountable and do it with transparency. And like Wendy said, decentralized. We're in charge.
Yeah,
We make these decisions and what we do determines the outcome. So let's do it right.
I couldn't agree more with that sentiment. Okay, so anyone that's listening, I'm sure at this point is saying, okay, this all sounds cool. What are these products? So why don't we take the last part of this podcast for you two to tell us more about Code, let us know where people can find it, where they can find out more about it, and where they can find you.
Okay, so this is what they look like. They are
And
a line, two
uh,
sizes. The travel kit that Wendy's holding, and this is what we refer to as the Code kit, but it's also known as the modern medicine cabinet, and you can see it's like 6 inches. So this was designed for the whole family, where the travel kit that Wendy is holding is designed more for the individual or anyone that wants to sample it. We have 10 formulas, everything from muscle and joint, pain and inflammation, weight loss. We have multiple immunity formulas consisting of a pulmonary formula, an antiviral, an allergy formula, a formula that protects you before you have symptoms. We have a life-changing product, in my opinion. It's called Calm, and it really is a game changer for anyone who's overactive. And we have a sleep formula. And the beautiful thing about our products is that they're safe for people and animals of all ages. So the same formula that helps people get clarity, focus, decrease stress works for a dog that's afraid of fireworks or thunder and lightning, or the same allergy formula that works for myself will work for my dog. So it's really a beautiful situation because it's one simple ingredient, as Wendy said earlier. It's informed saline solution. So Dr. McMichael's molecular formulas that we talked about that saved my life during the pandemic, what we've done is we use advanced technology, and we were able to essentially map the energetic blueprint or the energetic signature of his molecular formula. We digitize that into the code, and then we infuse or imprint the saline solution, which holds memory because of the salt. So we are imprinting those subtle energy patterns onto or into that saline solution, which acts as a carrier to deliver it to your body. So all of the formulas are taken sublingual. It's one drop under the tongue, regardless of size or weight. So we have our little tagline. You could be a 5-pound Chihuahua, a 200-pound person, or a 1,500-pound racehorse. It's still one drop. And you can take multiple formulas. You just wait 15 seconds between each formula and avoid eating and drinking for 5 minutes afterwards. And there's only one formula that has a very specific protocol, and that's the antiviral formula. The rest of the formulas you can take as needed based on what you're trying to balance that day. If you have a symptom or you feel out of balance, our products are designed to restore balance. So, based on the function of each formula. So, it's really about becoming self aware and feeling into what your own needs are and take a drop as needed because there are no side effects, which has been a long ongoing problem. I mean, you read some of these medications and the side effects are scarier than the symptoms. So
Well, when the
we
side effect is death, I would say
yeah,
yes.
yes.
yeah,
So
we
and there
always
are
talk
no
about that. Yeah.
and there are no contraindications. So if you are taking other medication, this works well for that. And you know, we don't talk about it all the time, but as a woman, and especially if you're of childbearing years, you have a responsibility what you put on and in your body because you're not just taking care of you anymore. And if you find yourself sick during pregnancy, you have a very serious choice and responsibility to make. Are you going to take a chemical drug that could have consequences that you might not like? Or would you rather try something that really doesn't have any consequences because it's energized saline solution and it's literally what you're made out of? So, we feel very passionately about what we have, and we hope that your listeners will give it a try. And we look forward to hearing the feedback.
All right. Wendy, do you have anything to add to that?
It goes back to intention. And when we started the company, we knew that we had this one product. And then when it expanded beyond just the one product, we said, what are the things that people have in their existing medicine cabinet both allopathic and holistic. And Lisa and I emptied our medicine cabinets and we took a picture of all the things that we have, and we boiled it down to these 10 products. And the idea is it's safe for people of all ages. So you can be an infant, a toddler, or an elderly person and still take the drop. And this code kit, which is the modern medicine cabinet, is the alternative to these over-the-counter and prescription medications. And it's for everyone in the family to share. So we set it up so that it was the idea that when you need something, you have everything right here in the palm of your hands. Essentially, it literally fits in the palm of your hand.
Or in your purse.
Or in your purse, but on hand. And that's the point, to do it in a non-toxic, drug-free, all-natural way. And it's what we're made of.
Yeah, and get control of your health and your pet's health too, which is important.
Right.
It's great that this helps dogs. Well, fantastic story. I think we're about ready to wrap it up. When I hear these kinds of things, you always hear people saying, well, is this evolutionary or is this revolutionary? And I think it's both. So this is fantastic stuff. And I congratulate you both on your work and wish you continued success. Thanks so much for sharing your story. And thanks to all of our listeners for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, thank you. And one more thing, if people want to visit our website, it is www.codehealthshop.com, and our Instagram handle is @codehealthshop. So we will love to connect with y'all.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Lisa, for sharing that. I forgot about your website. So yeah, everyone go there and like I said, get control of your health. Very important. Okay, thank you both, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Focal Insights Podcast. If you like this episode, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can be alerted of new episodes. See you next time.